Hi everybody, my name's Michelle and this is my channel Sewing Bunny. Thank you very much for joining me in today's video. And just so you know, I'm wearing the Sew Over It Molly top today and my Cleo dungaree dress. So today's video, as you've seen from the title, I'm going to be comparing the two Burda magazines, which is Burda Style and Burda Easy. Now I've got the July edition of Burda Style and I've got the May edition of Burda Easy. Now I'm going to basically just show you both of the magazines, do a little comparison and then also let you know my thoughts on the magazines. Now just to say, I haven't actually made any patterns from a Burda magazine. This is just me. I've bought 2 copies of the magazine. I really wanted to start giving them a go, so this is just my thoughts on it. So I thought it would be a good video to show you, you know, from somebody that hasn't made any of the patterns. You know, if you're somebody that, you know, might be new to Burda or has never seen any edition of Burda, that maybe this video might give you a little bit of an insight just to kind of show you what to expect. So some people absolutely love Burda magazines and some people absolutely hate them. Everyone is entitled to their own opinion and this is just my opinion on these particular magazines. So let's start off with Burda Style. So for those of you that aren't familiar with the Burda magazines, I'll just go through a little bit of it. So what you do is when you open up the magazine, you're greeted with all of the designs that are in the magazine. So as you can see there is a lot of different styles. So you get a lot of patterns. And it's kind of broken down into different sections. So you have this section here and all of these patterns are in one size range. And then you also have these patterns here which are in a slightly different size range. And then you've got some children's ones as well. So yeah, you do get a lot of different styles. So just to go through the different size ranges for Burda magazine. So they use the sizes 34 to 44, which is this section here. Now let me just refer to my notes here so I can tell you exactly what those sizes represent. So 34 starts off as a 31.5 inch bust, a 24.5 inch waist and a 33 3/4 inch hip. And then it goes up to size 44, which is a 39.25 bust, a 32.25 waist, and a 41 3/4 hip. So that is this section here. And then you've got this section over here, which is the slightly extended size range, and that is sizes 44 to 52. Now size 52 goes up to a 48 inch bust, a 41 inch waist and a 50.5 inch hip. So you get quite a few different size ranges there. The children's ones, I'll be honest, I haven't actually looked at the size ranges of those. I will pop the details in the description box down below in case you're interested in the kids size range as well. So once you've seen your the first lot of designs, you then get into the actual magazine aspect of it. So you've got a little bit here about Burda Style's story, and then yes, you get on to actually seeing the patterns and models wearing them. And then you've got some more model shots here, for instance. So you've got these ones here, and then this little section here where it gives you the line drawings. So for instance, this one is for this, and this dress here is this one here. So if I just show you a little bit more closely, you've got the little description here and you've got these little dots. And these little dots represent the difficulty level of the garment. So this one has 2 dots, this one down here has 3 dots. So then you know, if you're going to make one of these patterns, that you know the difficulty level. So for instance, this dress is a little bit more difficult than this top. And then, as I say, a little blurb here. And this one says, you can choose to wear this dress as a button dress or even open as a cardigan or cover up. In every case of styling, the sophisticated cotton fabric and the tying band will give you lots of options to look great. Yeah, and then we continue on with a few more model shots. So again, very similar. So you've got up here, you've got some trousers, which are these, and then down here you've got a little jacket, which is over on the other side. So you can have a little flick through, see what patterns you like, and it'll tell you how difficult they are, and also what sizes they come in. That's one thing I didn't actually show you there. So let's just find one of those. So yeah, so for instance, you've got this one here, and this tells you that it's in a size 34 to a 42. So sometimes you do have to watch out for it because, for instance, as I say, this one is a 34 to a 32 to a 42, but yet this one down here goes from a 36 to a 44. So it's a bit strange kind of how they don't stick to everything is in certain sizes, which I find a little bit strange. So if you want to select the pattern that you like and you can see from the magazine what size they come in, you can then go to actually getting your pattern. Now all the pattern pages are in the centre of the magazine. I have actually taken them out just to show you for this video, but they are in the centre. And you can tell that the paper kind of changes from, like, you know, the shiny glossy magazine paper to the kind of the more kind of, you know, newspaper kind of style paper, and all the patterns will sit in the middle. So what you would do is, I mean, it does tell you on here how to find your pattern, but what you would do is you would find your pattern on here. So you've got all the line drawings there. So let's say that I wanted to have a look at style, this one here, which is 101. So I would then find all the details for the 101, which is this one here. And what it does is it tells you what you need, obviously, for your fabric and your notions, all your fabric requirements, which is great. And then it tells you what you need to cut out from the pattern pieces. Now, what it would do is it would tell you on here, so you've got a little bit of an overview, if you can see it here. And it does say on here, green pattern line sheet D. Yeah, so if you can see that there. So what you'd need to do is you'd need to go to your pattern pieces. Let me just get that. Okay, so there might be some rustling now because once you open up the pattern pieces, it's all on an A1 sheet of paper. And as you can see, they are all intertwined. You've got all these different lines showing which pattern you need to find. So we need to refer to our instructions and we need to have a look. So it said you want to follow the green line on pattern sheet D. Now the first thing is, so here you go, you've got pattern sheet A, which is this section, and then if you can see you've got pattern sheet B here, which is the lower half of that, and then if you flip it around you have pattern sheet C, which is this section, and then lower down pattern sheet D. So I need pattern sheet D and I need to follow the green line. Now I don't know if you're going to be able to see this, but if you can see a green line on there, that is where you would trace. So you trace your pattern on the green line. Now I'm showing you that one because this one really actually only has one pattern piece. You do a front and the back, and then you cut a rectangle to make the drawstring. So that's probably like your easiest style one. So you can imagine maybe with the more complicated ones, you may have to go to multiple sheets to find, you know, the colours that you need. So, I mean, yes, it does look very confusing. I won't lie, it confuses me. But I would really like to give it a go sometime. You know, I don't mind tracing patterns and, you know, it's a bit of a challenge. So I would be up for that. So, and then once you have got all your pattern pieces, you then do get the instructions. Now, yeah, they're not the most comprehensive of instructions. This is how, this was what you would follow. But I have noticed, you know, they do, even though sometimes, you know, the wording might be a bit strange, they do tell you, you know, the basics, and they do tell you how to finish your seams as well, which I do like. So, you know, that is basically Burda Style in a nutshell. I hope that was helpful. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to go on to the Burda Easy magazine now. So, as I say, this is the Burda Easy magazine that is the May edition. Now, I do have Alex from Gingerhead & Co to thank for for recommending this, because she makes a lot of patterns from Burda magazines and they look stunning. And I think I mentioned in one of her videos, I put a comment in saying, oh, you know, I wish I had the confidence to use Burda Style. And she actually recommended to try Burda Easy because it had only just been released in the UK. I think you could get it in other places, you know, in Europe, but obviously I don't think it was in English, and they've just released the English version. So I made sure I nabbed myself a copy. Now, Burda Easy, again, similar to the Burda Style magazine, you open out to the patterns. Now, what you can see straight away is you do have less patterns than the Burda Style. But this is, as it says, it is Burda Easy. So, if you were to carry on here, you would then start getting your actual models on there, and you get lots of different pictures, and you don't get the dots to say whether it's easy, you know, or difficult with the difficulty levels, because it is Burda Easy. Then these are all basically the easy level. So you actually get more. So you get like the different styles, and you get the dedicated pages to show the steps. So you would get on here exactly what you need, what notions you have, the pattern sheets, how to cut out the pattern, and then also now step-by-step instructions. So nice and clear. I really, really like this, and yeah, I think, in my opinion, it's so much easier to follow. So again, you get the model shots on there, and then it would take you to the different variations, and then the instructions. So every single pattern has its own set of instructions. Also, unlike the kind of the roadmap kind of version of Burda Style, where it is all on one A4 sheet, sorry, A0 sheet, and you've got to try and find your lines, you get dedicated pattern pieces. So for instance, you get this one here, which has these variations and this one. You also get this one here, so you've got the variations of this and the variation of that. And all of these pattern pieces are on these sheets. And if I was to open out one of these, so I don't know if this is going to show up very well, probably not the best one that I opened, but you actually have the dedicated pattern pieces on here. So you could cut it out to your size, so you wouldn't need to necessarily trace off. So yeah, I find that a really helpful addition, that you can cut out your size, or if you want to trace, as I do like to trace, you don't need to find all the individual overlap lines. You can just put your paper down and go for it without looking too hard. And with the Burda Easy, there are some downsides to this, which is you only have the sizing of the standard range, which is the size 34 to the size 44. You don't get the extended size range, you don't get children's patterns, or at least in this magazine. I can't speak for all the other Burda Easies, this is just how I've seen it already. So yeah, that's just one thing to be aware of. Now, one thing that I haven't mentioned with both of those magazines is they don't have seam allowance. So once you've traced your pattern, you will have to add your own seam allowance. Now, some people love that and some people hate it because it depends what your preference is. So I actually think it's quite a good idea because you can then put whatever seam allowance you want. So if I was to say make something out of jersey, I would probably only want a small seam allowance because I would probably do the majority of the seams on my overlocker, and then I wouldn't have to, do like, 5/8 of an inch or something. I could just literally do a few millimeters if I wanted. And also, depending on your preference, you might like 3/4 of an inch seam allowance, you might like 5/8 of an inch. You can do whatever you like. So you do get that bit of freedom, but I understand that for some people you might not enjoy adding that seam allowance in, and you do have to be a little bit careful with how you add on your seam allowance. So again, I haven't made any of the patterns, so maybe it is a little bit hypocritical of me to say what is good and what isn't good, but this is just my opinion on the magazines. So what do I think are the pros and cons of each magazine? So, Burda Style, pros. You get a lot of patterns for your money. You get different size ranges, so you can have your standard size range, you can have your extended size range. They also, I believe, do petite sizes and tall sizes occasionally. I think in this magazine, I think you only get one petite, but they do have size ranges to show that they do petite and tall. But you might only get 1 or 2 patterns maybe for that. You also get the children's patterns in these, and I believe you occasionally get men's patterns as well. So you do get a good all-round size range and variety of different patterns. So that is very, very good. So cons. Me personally, I find the instructions not 100% clear for my liking, and also the tracing off of the patterns, I think it'd probably take a little bit of time to get used to. As I say, I haven't tried it. I should really try it, and I'm going to try it. I'm going to pick out something from this magazine and I'm going to make it because I need to push myself. And but for maybe if you're reasonably new to sewing, it could feel a bit overwhelming. So I would probably say maybe just do a few patterns, maybe some easier ones, and then maybe work your way up to this, because as I say, I think for me personally, it could be a little bit overwhelming. So, Burda Easy. For me, the pros are you get really good, clear instructions with each and every pattern. You also get your pattern sheets where you can just straight out cut your size or trace it off without any crisscross lines. So for me, absolute bonus, love that. The cons, you are very limited to your size range on this. As I say, this one is only your 34 to your 44. And you do get less actual patterns, so you won't get the number of patterns you would get in Burda Style. You get a much more limited amount of patterns. Now, I actually find that I quite like that because I don't want to feel overwhelmed with all the patterns, and I actually really like some of the patterns in this magazine. So that is my pros and cons for this one. So what are my final thoughts on the two magazines? So Burda Style, really, really good amount of patterns, and yes, I probably would buy this, but I'm going to try sewing a pattern from it first before I continue to buy any more. So I'm going to give it a go. I might try maybe one of the slightly more easier ones on there, just to give myself a fighting chance. I don't think I'm going to do anything too complicated. So I might just try something like that very straightforward, simple blouse that I showed on here before, and see how I get on. Now, if you are interested in following along with me on that, I'll be more than happy to do a review of the first pattern that I've ever used out of this Burda Style. And but I'm not going to carry on buying it until I've created the first pattern to actually see if I can actually get on with this magazine. Burda Easy, however, I think I'm going to continue to buy this magazine. Again, I haven't sewn up anything from it, but I have actually already traced out a pattern, and I just need to pick what fabric I want to use. So again, I can report back to you on how I get on with this, and if it does work out, then yes, I think I would probably subscribe to this magazine, because I actually really just like this one edition. I'm really pleased with it. So that is my thoughts. Let me know what you think. Do you like Burda Style, or do you like Burda Easy magazine? Have you tried either of them? What are your thoughts? I'd love to know, and I'd love to hear all your feedback and comments. So I hope you enjoyed the video, and I will speak to you all very soon. Bye.